Hey everybody, this is Seth Keeping It Real. Today I'm going to show you how to file for a fictitious business name, and I'm also going to explain what is it for and do you actually need it for your business. Hey everybody, this is Seth Keeping It Real. This channel is to teach you how to build passive income. One of the big parts of passive income is setting up your business right. If your business is not set up correctly, you can get into tax issues. You can also get into issues where people are using your logo or your brand and you have no way to protect yourself. And so today I'm going to talk about fictitious business names. Now, this comes under a lot of different terms. Some people call it a DBA, doing business as. Some states and counties call it an assumed business name. Others call it a fictitious business name, as I mentioned, and others call it a trade name. They're all the same thing though. A fictitious business name is simply this. When you register your company with the state or in a city or district, the name that company is as its own identity is one thing. So for example, if I go in and I say, I want to start a business the simplest way possible, just me, I don't want to set up anything big and fancy, we're not going to go public, then I'll set up a sole proprietorship. Very low fees, very simple. Now, this means that the name of my business is me, Seth Kniep. And my social security number is the number that identifies my business, which is also me. Me and the business are one and the same. So when I pay taxes at the end of the year, all the money my business makes is personal income. There's no separation from corporate income, my company's income, and my personal income. It's all in the same. Now, let's say my business is creating really cool clothing for cats, and I want to market my business as Floral Felines. How do you like that? The problem now is if I want to go out and do business as Floral Felines, I need to come up with a fictitious business name, or a DBA, doing business as, or a trade name, or assumed business name. Because if I'm going to do business under a different name, I have to file for that with the state or the county in order for it to be legal. This not only protects me and helps to preserve my identity, but also protects the customer in case, their cat tried on the suit and it somehow was allergic and the cat got sick and they wanted to sue me for the vet bill. And now, therefore, they have to know who they're suing. Well, if they sue Floral Felines, but that's not really my business name, who is it? So it becomes a legal issue. In most states, you're required to file for a fictitious business name. And it's much more marketable to be advertising as Floral Felines instead of saying, oh, this is Seth Kniep and I'm, making clothing for owners of cats. Let me give you another example of why someone would file for a fictitious business name. Let's say you're a partnership. And by the way, in most cases, it'll be a sole proprietorship or a partnership that will file for a fictitious business name. Usually, a corporation or an LLC don't need to, because when you go in and file as a corporation or as an LLC, that is your name. In other words, the name of your corporation is your business name. And in some rare situations, you might want to do business under a different name than your legal entity, and that's a different scenario, but not as common. But let's just say a lady named Susie Q decides that she's going to go out and start a business, so she sets up a sole proprietorship. That means the name of her business is Susie Q, if that's her name. The problem is, that's not a great name if she's selling toe massage equipment. She doesn't want her toe massage equipment to sound like a Twinkie, so she needs to decide, how am I going to market myself? So she decides to register a fictitious business name called Toe Massage Elites. And therefore, with the state or the county, it depends on the state, every state is different, she goes in, she registers, and now they have that name on file as her doing business as name, or her fictitious, her fake business name. When she files for taxes, it'll still be under Susie Q because that's the legal entity. The fictitious business name is not a legal entity. It's just, in this case, for marketing purposes. The closest example I can think of is, think about why an actor would use a stage name. For example, in 1946, Marilyn Monroe did not start with Marilyn Monroe. That was not her real name. She coined that name. It was a pull-off of her mother's maiden name, and they coined that in 1946 because it sounded more swift and more sexy and more catchy. Marilyn Monroe, it has its own cadence. That's not her real name. It's her stage name. Just like a business, you might be doing your business name as a sole proprietorship, might be Susie Q, but your business name to your customers is going to be called Toe Massage Elite. And that's why you have that distinction. Now, some people do it to help protect their identity. Other people do it because it's more marketable. But there's a third reason people might do it. Pretend that you have a side business of selling hydrated yolks on eBay and dry freeze yolks. How about that? And that's only 10% of your income. But your main income over here is clothing for cats or for cute kitties, floral feline business. Both of them are under the LLC, which you've registered as Z Industries. So over here, you might register a fictitious business name for your floral felines. And over here, you register a DBA or a fictitious business name as freeze-dried yolks. In other words, to your customer, these are two separate businesses. They don't know it's the same company, but it doesn't matter. The main company is Z Industries. These two are just DBAs, fictitious business names. When you file taxes, you'll file them all in one under Z Industries because that's the legal entity. When I was 16 years old, I wanted to become a professional magician. So I went in and I registered my first business as a sole proprietorship in California. And I had to go to the city clerk and I had to register a fictitious business name, Red and Blue Magic and Entertainment. I became a professional magician. I was also a professional tap dancer. I did this for a living in my late teens and early 20s, and I was good at it. Now, that was my first experience. Now, why wouldn't I want to market my business as Seth Kniep? Well, first of all, Kniep is really hard to know how to pronounce unless you hear this phrase, Keeping It Real. And second, Red and Blue Magic and Entertainment just sounds better than Seth Kniep. So it was marketable. So I had to go in, and what they do, and this is in most states and counties, is you have to search a database to make sure no one else is using that same name. If no one else is using the name, you can use it. And typically there's a fee anywhere from $0 like North Carolina up to $200 like Georgia, but usually it's between $25 and $50. It's not that expensive. So I registered my fictitious business name and I began doing business under that name, even though the legal entity was still Seth Kniep. When I paid taxes at the end of the year, I filed as Seth Kniep. It was my own personal income as a sole proprietorship. Now, how do you know when to file for a fictitious business name? You'll need to do it approximately 30 days before you start, because usually it takes up to a month in order to get feedback from the city or the county clerk to know that it's been accepted. And in most places, you can do this online, which is really, really nice. So give it at least 30 days, so that way you can start legally and there's no issue. Now, not all states require this. Some states, you don't have to register at all, like New Mexico. In other states, it's a big deal. You must register, like California. When you go to the state, there are 3 different levels at which you might have to register: the town, the county, or the state. In most places, it's going to be the county or the state, and sometimes it'll be the town, and sometimes it's a combination of the 3, and rarely, in 2 cases so far as of today, 2 states don't even require it. So you can see it varies. But just keep in mind, your fictitious business name does not have great protection. I mean, if you register it in the county, no one else can use that as a fictitious business name, but that doesn't mean they can't market under that brand name, especially if they got it trademarked. You don't have protection in that way. The most protection you have is within that county or city, no one else can use the same fictitious business name. And that's it. And this is why it's so important. If you want to protect your brand name, and also especially if you plan on selling beyond your local state or local province, then you need to trademark a brand name. And that's extremely important. It's like registering a fictitious business name, except you're now doing it on a national level. So we have trademarks in Canada, the US, and the European Union. If you're in Europe and you trademark your name there, you can do it broadly, and it covers all the European countries within the European Union, and it's pretty simple and fast. Canada covers Canada, and of course the United States covers United States. How do I file for my fictitious business name? First of all, step 1, make sure that no one else has trademarked that business name. You don't want to file for a fictitious business name, 6 months later get a letter from a lawyer saying, hey, I am representing my client who trademarked that name 2 years ago. You have to stop doing business. What's that going to do? It's going to hurt your business because people started knowing your business under that name, and now you'll lose all of that momentum. How do you do that? It's very simple. So go to uspto.gov. Come over here to trademarks, hover over, and you're going to see all of these menus pop up. From here, you're going to go to searching trademarks and click on that. From searching trademarks, scroll down to where it says search trademarks and click on that. Now go to basic word mark search. And from here, you're going to type it in, and you're going to see I already typed it in, floral felines, and hit enter, and it's going to search. So this is telling me that no one is using the name Floral Felines as a branded trademark. So perfect. The second thing you're going to do is now that you know that no one's using it within uspto.gov, is you're going to go over here and you're going to Google the name of your city the name of your county, and then fictitious business name. That way you've covered your bases and you know that it's going to come up, and there it is after the sponsored ad. See, that's an ad right there. Right here, I come over here and I can look at the Travis County Clerk, and here it gives me the steps for applying. Now I want you to notice it says search assumed name certificates. What this means is by clicking here, I can search and find out if anyone else is using this name that I want to use in Travis County where I live. The other thing you can do is come down here and you can see all the steps. And all counties or states are going to have these steps for you. They're all going to look different depending on the rules of the state, so keep that in mind. But it tells you how to search for marriage records, official public records, foreclosure notices, and so forth. Let me go back here. But down here, you can see when should a DBA be filed, and then the steps. First, you determine if the name you wish to use is available. It is your responsibility to fully investigate the name you wish to use. Here you have this instructions for filling out the certificate, and then you can bring it into the office there, and you pay the filing fee, and then it tells you what happens after that's over. Once you've done this, you're going to wait for a few days. Usually it's not more than a week or two. It could be up to 30 days. They will send you notification if it's been approved, and you can start doing business under your fictitious business name. But I don't want to leave without you understanding a couple risks associated with this. Number one, if your company explodes, and I'm assuming you're doing this because you have a local business, brick and mortar, it's geographically located. That's usually the only time someone's going to file for a fictitious business name. But once you do this, if your business explodes and you decide, you know what, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm going to start building a franchise and I'm going to start expanding to different states. If that happens, you now have to rethink your strategy for two reasons. Number one, if someone sues you, they can sue you for your personal stuff, like your car and your house and your personal finances, because you're a sole proprietorship or a partnership. So I'd strongly recommend you consider becoming an LLC, which still has pass-through tax. You still pay them as personal income, but the advantages are that if you are sued, only your business assets are liable. It does cost more, but it's worth it. Second, if you're a corporation, it also gives you that same protection, except now you have two things. You have your company's identity and your identity. Companies pay taxes and you pay taxes, and you can manage those in a way that actually helps you to pay less taxes legally than an LLC. Now, there's tons of different variations off that. You need to talk to a tax lawyer or an accountant for all the details, but as a general rule of thumb, it does give you more flexibility as a corporation. And that's why I am the owner of multiple corporations. So make sure you do not use a sole proprietorship unless you are intending to remain local and small and just in your area. If you're trying to grow big, if you're trying to sell on Amazon or eBay, I highly recommend you get a brand name and you register it with the USPTO.gov trademarked. And keep in mind, it is only protected in the country in which you are selling. So for example, if I get my brand name registered in the European Union, but I'm selling in the US, it's not protected in the US, but it is protected in Germany. And the vice versa is true as well. Once you get this set up, it's a matter of just moving forward. I remember when I first registered for a business, it seemed expensive. To me, that was a lot of money. I forget it was under 100, I think, but it still seemed like a lot of money to start my sole proprietorship and have to pay this money. Now my perspective has changed so much, not because I have a lot more money, but because my view of finances is different. I realize an investment now means I can make money later. Lastly, as a gift to you guys, and I hope this is helpful to you, I included below a link to how I made my first $1 million. And I did it through 5 different passive income streams. There was no magic key. There was no special trick to make it happen. It simply meant working hard, being smart, and leveraging my time so I could scale. And that's exactly what I did. And so I hope that's helpful to you. Guys, have an awesome day. This is Seth Keep It Real. Get out there and crush it. And thanks, Joe.